APEC Transport Ministers Meet officially opens. NARI trials taro ice cream at Morobe show. A local fashion show pushes climate change focus.
This is National EMTV News with Marilyn Diao-Katam.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Saturday's news. The APEC 10th Transport Ministry meeting was officially opened this morning by Assisting APEC Minister Justin Chichenko in Port Moresby. Transport Minister and delegates from the 17 of 21 countries discussed and signed bilateral agreements to improve their transport systems. Papua New Guinea's Transport Minister Wesley Nukuch says several of bilateral agreements, MOUs and technical expertise will better the country's transport to encourage trade.
Stepping in for the Prime Minister, Peter O'Neill, who was unable to attend the APEC 10th Transport Ministry meeting, was the Minister assisting APEC events, Justin Chichenko, who welcomed the 17 economies attending. Among them are USA, China, Japan and Australia.
The policy agenda that we support will be very productive and meaningful for our region especially. And we hope that you all enjoy the experience of visiting Papua New Guinea. Our Prime Minister has said APEC in Papua New Guinea will be very Pacific.
Chichenko says there were different challenges faced by all economies in transport.
In the digital age, we cannot respond to these challenges alone. The challenges we face in transportation sector are not just domestic, they are regional and global and require multilateral action.
The Transport Minister, during a press conference, explained how PNG will be benefiting from the APEC transport meeting.
So it's not just transportation meeting. A lot of bilaterals that are taking place. Even after this, one or two bilaterals will get more, only with Papua New Guinea and a particular economy, but two other countries are also meeting on the sides.
He added that while most people may see the meeting as a waste of money, the minister says the APEC transport meeting paves the way for diplomacy, for concessional loans or technical expertise from other APEC economies. The three-day APEC transport ministerial meeting will end today. Adelaide Sirox Kari, National EMTV News.
The National Agricultural Research Institute trialed the new taro ice cream today at the 56th Morobe show. Curious people flocked to the stall to have a taste of this new flavor. The ice cream product is one of NARI's projects to find other options of using the crop.
The streets around the showground were already packed by 9 a.m. this morning as faithful showgoers made their way to the site. Excitement could be seen on people's faces as people walked to stores to check out displays. NARI's new taro ice cream sparked an interest.
We're looking at options of how best to utilize the taro at the moment.
People stood in line to try out this new product.
We've substituted the ingredients to village level processing. For instance, the milk, we are substituting it for coconut milk. It's readily available to farmers.
The ice cream project was done to find other ways to use taro other than selling it fresh at the market.
What is not being used can be utilized for this kind of options.
Today it was sold to test people's reactions.
Me like it.
Yeah, it's very nice. The color is like taro, but the taste is like ice cream.
The Morobe Agricultural Show has yet again attracted crowds of people. The general atmosphere today has been peaceful and more people are expected to attend tomorrow. Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Leh.
The Papua New Guinea Fashion and Design Week is advocating on climate change, featured in the runway show tonight. Under the theme Fashion and Climate Change, designers will showcase outfits that reflect climate change. It's the show's first-year history, which prides itself on fashion artistry with public awareness. It comes in time following the launching of Papua New Guinea's first-ever National Red Plus Strategy 2017 to 2027 to address climate change.
Tonight, designers' outfits will reflect climate change on the Png Fashion and Design Week runway show at the Gateway Hotel in Port Moresby. Founder Janet Seo says they want to be part of the global awareness on climate change.
This year our theme is climate change, and we are going to use it to pass the message to our Papua New Guineans and our designers and models that climate change is real, climate change is affecting us. You just look around you and you can see that the rising sea levels are affecting a lot of our islands, and frost in the highlands, all kinds of extreme weathers are affecting our people. And so
CEO says climate change is everyone's business, calling for a wider approach towards the global issue.
And so it is important that each one of us take our little bit of time and effort to try and contribute to conserving our environment and looking after it.
The Png Fashion Week will be the first international engagement for the fashion line Off to War apparel. Jacinta Fuamatu and Aria Newton are fledgling Australian designers who base their work on the 3 R's of recycling, reusing, and reducing waste.
But it was lucky it was all still within that climate change movement. Chris and I both work with the Pacific Climate Warriors, so that's how that started. And we talked about trying to do a climate change fashion, and everyone just thought, yeah, okay, who's going to do that? And like, here we are.
Do it. That Jay's talking about is the rainbow fish, which are found in the waters between Papua New Guinea and Australia. And it's like, that's their localized, so we thought that would be an amazing kind of inspiration for us to merge again 2 cultures and bring them together.
This year's event is presented by the MRDC, the National Airports Corporation, MVIL, BSP, the Tourism Authority, and Colgate-Palmolive. Harry Agimbari, National EMTV News.
Market vendors who were selling the produce at the temporary market along the freeway between Gordons and Erema say that the facility lacks proper water supply and needs a fence. Vendors have been relocated to this venue following the closure of the Gordons vegetable market.
At least 300 vendors have found a spot here to sell their produce following the closure of Gordon's Market since last Tuesday. Most of these vendors live near Gordon's, Erema, 6 and 7 miles, and even outside of Port Moresby. A larger number of them buy garden produce or vegetables from central villages and resell them at the market. Since the move on Thursday, vendors who sell garden produce say there are no proper water supply or toilet facilities for them to use.
Putim lava hosna or using warablo or line house or city plane. So like in Mosemera mas camposem or the gaman or tokyo right lomibla sidam lo here okay almost camputim warablo plus suppose or tok no kite. And more decision all governor na meva all by walking.
While others say the new venue is away from the main bus stop and is resulting in lesser customers.
And then about them is 200 na 300 kena. I mean ablo me ba pay rent na kai na paspeko kam na I'm good la lig na lawyer in Thomas 50 kena na about 40 kena one day na 30 kena na I'm no got straight I'm go hard straight.
In terms of security, John Ima and 50 other youths have formed a team where they are providing security and assisting customers find a parking space before they can do marketing.
The first person must look at freeway must clear at all the times. Time we got traffic consistent, good cause accident or one kind of same. So me talks out all now. All make sure that freeway must clear every time, all through the morning going up the afternoon. Now, nalda mi talks out all. Almost look at all man inside the market. All man, all vendors now, all land come buy him kaike must feel him safe inside the market. Suppose time all vendors now customers don't feel him safe there. Emo da very lines over carry money come now, but then you blow the mangia, but you benefit there. Because passing people still passing the Gordon's business, me must send him.
The closure of the Gordon's Market is to allow the demolition and the construction of the new market.
We just need a mini house, just like Erema Bridge alone. There's a little mini market there. We just need a shelter like that. You have to prepare him this la. Earlier, long pussy mosla man Mary lo Gordon's go out. Long a toilet na bathroom stop. Okay, water stop. This la kind.
It is expected to be completed in 2020. Taklegunga, National EMTV News.
Mosby Northeast MP John Cowper has promised to help teachers in his electorate in the next 5 years. This comes after teachers celebrated International Teachers' Day, but also used the day to raise problems they are facing. Mr. Cowper promised to help teachers in his electorate by making sure that all teachers have accommodation.
Member for Mosby Northeast, John Cowper, congratulated teachers in his electorate for their commitment and efforts to teaching young people and says it is his responsibility to get first-hand information from teachers the problems they are facing. Apart from acknowledging International Teachers' Day, Cowper has big plans for what he wants to do for the teachers and students in his electorate. Teachers who seem to appreciate and enjoy their jobs spoke to MTV about how they feel being teachers.
Because without teachers, a country will not move forward. Or we have teachers to teach our young generation so they take the country forward. So everybody must recognize the work teachers do and appreciate them in their own little ways.
Being a teacher is not an easy task. We get to work at 7, well before 8 o'clock. And before that, we have to prepare our lessons. Over time, we do not rest. It's very important that they understand that the teachers are always there to guide them and look after their children. And when they have problems, the teachers are the very ones who know their children's problems, because the children come to teachers and they open up more than their parents.
One of the main reasons for organizing the event was for teachers in Mosby Northeast to put forward their grievances of what the government can do to step in and help not just in Mosby Northeast electorate but in the country. Main reason highlighted by teachers to member for Mosby Northeast was accommodation problems all teachers are facing today.
Teachers must be not only teachers. Teachers must be innovative, creative, so that whatever we do in line with teaching must be produce quality education.
Speaking to the teachers, Cowper promised to help teachers in Mosby Northeast with accommodation, infrastructure, in-service training for teachers to upskill their knowledge and school libraries for students in his term in Parliament.
I'm only going to give you a 5-year plan in Mosby Northeast. It might work, it might not work. But as a new elected member for Mosby Northeast, at least I must have got a plan in schools in my electorate.
Cowper promised the teachers and students to have the International Teachers Celebration, an annual event for all teachers in Mosby Northeast electorate. Godwin Eki, National EMTV News.
Here with National EMTV News, we have all education stories. When we come back, stay with us. Welcome back. The National Education Department has responded to concerns raised by new teacher graduates of Western Highlands Province who have not been paid since resuming duties this year. Secretary Dr. Uke Kombra told MTV News they will do a follow-up to ensure teachers are paid accordingly.
But it's possible that 1 or 2 may not be paid, but I need to know exactly who are this and for the reason, because it's not like you go out anytime you want and then you can come quickly back and you say, I need to be on the payroll. No.
The National Education Secretary was responding to a story aired by MTV about new teacher graduates not being paid and getting little help from the school with 100 kina every fortnight.
Said the school has been paying the teachers 100 kina each per fortnight for 8 solid months.
Dr. Kombra says, but for a decision to be executed, he wants the affected teachers to write to his office directly.
You have properly checked that you have completed grade 10 and 12. You get certain reports and so on, and then Teaching Service Commission admits them, and then we put them on a payroll. So there are processes in place. So through that process, maybe some teachers may not be getting paid, but we need to be advised. That teacher should write directly to the secretary's office that I'm not been paid, I've been working like this, these are my documents. and I can assure that teacher that they'll be on pay.
Similar cases of teachers teaching without pay have been addressed, and if genuine, the Secretary has assured these teachers he will fast-track the cases.
We have addressed a number of teachers who have come, who have not been paid, and when they come and report to directly, because they've gone through all the process and they still get frustrated and they bring it to my office or Secretary's office, I put 2 or 3 people back on the pay, because instead of them, they're genuine cases and true cases, we fast-track the matter. So we can address, because they are our teachers, and if they're genuinely teaching in the province, they have to be paid. So we can pay and backdate the pay that they've missed out. That's all possible.
Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
The delay in the release of the government's tuition-free funds has hit schools in East New Britain province as the schooling year drags past the 4th term. Kambubu Adventist Secondary School is one of many other schools in the province who do not know when they will get their TFF funds. School Principal Alexander says he will close the school immediately after the grade 10 and 12 national exams, as there is no money to successfully complete this year's academic year.
The 9th and grade 12 graduation ceremony of Kambubu Adventist Secondary School last Sunday was a colorful event. A total of more than 100 students graduated ahead of their national exams, but the jubilation hides the struggles that this Seventh-day Adventist-run institution is facing over the last 5 years. Like many other older education institutions in the country, Kambubu is struggling with its rundown infrastructures. Most of them were built by the first SD missionaries who arrived 80 years ago. And it is a school that is going through a financial difficulty as it awaits the arrival of the much talked about tuition-free funds from Waigani promised by the government. And during the graduation, the principal, Alexander, took the opportunity to notify parents and students about the news that many expected.
We plan receiving TFF law, term number 1 taso. Number 3, number 2, number 3 nogat. Na tomorrow, term number 4 start. Na mi play no sabe by come or nogat.
Kambubu Adventist Secondary School is tucked away along the borders of Kokopo and Pomio district, catering to more than 500 students coming from all over East New Britain province and the New Guinea Islands region. Its location has made it one of the rural schools in the province with a high operational cost.
Besablo mem reporti molsem 200,000 government embin by me kamin emblo first platem taso. Na des 200,000 emno naplo running school 574 mouse lo feeding. Na me plus spending 10,000 kina every month lo buy fuel lo generator so me black and running power lo sumati lo kisim wara na yusim light lo working study. And then mess.
While the government on numerous occasions have stopped schools from charging extra fees, the school's principals say they will continue to ask parents to pay more. This is one of the few times that the Kambubu Adventist Secondary School got media attention. In the coming months or perhaps in the next few years, the school will continue to struggle to keep on its feet, and most of the much needed funds that is expected to keep the school running will come from the SD mission and the parents themselves. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
National Education Secretary Dr. Uke Kombra says the tuition fee-free funds is on track and has been paid. Dr. Kombra was responding to questions raised by EMTV if these funds have been paid. He says 100 million kina has been committed by the national government for term 3.
To date, we have paid 100 million. So we are in the process with transferring of the balance of TFF from Treasury to Finance to the department, now in the process. So that should then complete all of term 3. And we then expect the balance of 150 for term 4. But every year I am very appreciative of the government's commitment to the TFF policy, Even there are many government departments not receiving the money, but with TFF policy, it's and the government's commitment to it is 100%.
The European Union has taken a different approach in addressing climate change through courses to be offered under the TVET program. These courses are aligned with EU's Adapting to Climate Change and Sustainable Energy programs that have been rolled out around the country. The project is jointly implemented by the Pacific Community and the University of South Pacific. The development of these curricula has been designed by TVET with technical support from UPNG and the Climate Change Development Authority, with funding support and technical advice from the European Union PAC TVET. While the regional course is being offered at the University of the South Pacific in Fiji, PNG's share is to adapt the regional qualification on resilience and sustainable energy.
The advantage about developing this curriculum is because, as you will note, is that we will be reaching a greater population in the school system now. You are talking about 40,000 kids attending 1 year of school at various levels. For TVET, it may be almost like 15,000 kids that are attending school right now. And if you have this curriculum implemented in the school system in TVET, of which we've already developed, it will be multiplication of 15,000 times 2 every year. That will be graduating certificates in climate change, certificate 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that knowledge that they've gained over the 2 years will be sufficient for them.
The courses are to address the impacts of climate change, basic energy auditing and management, and the preservation of EU projects on a technical level. This aims to raise awareness of climate change and create job opportunities.
We've seen so many projects coming in, projects on renewable energy, or let's say sustainable energy, projects on climate change. They're coming in, being implemented, and after the project is done, then maybe a couple of months down the line, there is no way to sustain this project. So that is the main issue, that the projects saw and say, okay, how can we tackle the issue of sustainability? The issue there is to do with the technical know-how, the technical skills of people to be able to maintain, operate and maintain this.
Meanwhile, they have also announced that there are plans of implementing climate change education awareness in high schools and elementary schools with a focus on climate change adaptation. The National Education Department has issued a stern warning to students not to cheat during national examinations. The warning comes after a review of systems and processes of examinations to stop this practice.
As a result, security controls have been applied as part of the rule of zero tolerance on cheating.
Any student who is found to have cheated in the exams, they will not be certified.
In the 2016 academic year, it was revealed that there were 40 cases of cheating and their students were not even certified.
We are applying the rule of zero tolerance. So in our system of the examination system and the softwares that we have, we can be able to find and identify students who have cheated in the exams.
The National Education Secretary says deliberate actions have been taken to close all the gaps.
We also do it in such a way to ensure that the marks are compared, and we ensure that there's so all the whole process after the review, when they've identified certain gaps in the whole process of examination, they've identified this, and we have taken deliberate actions to close all those gaps.
Fabian Haklitz, National EMTV News.
Yo, it's Saturday's News. We'll have more stories for you when we come back. Welcome back. A coffee cooperative in the Morobe province have been reaping rewards for their hard work. Neknasi has received its latest payment for its coffee exports. On Thursday, the company met with the farmers and made the announcement of its latest payment of nearly 200,000 kina. The money will be paid directly into the accounts of farmers.
This is a road largely built by hand by the farmers from Neknasi Cooperative. It's an example of the tenacity and determination of coffee farmers who live in the Boana area of the Morobe province. 8 years ago, the Neknasi Cooperative was relatively unknown. Those who distributed government funding didn't think Neknasi was suited for the funding, and the cooperative didn't get any. Chairman Mong Bungun initially mobilized about 200 farmers and then started a movement. On Thursday, the cooperative's executives gathered farmers and announced that the money for their latest export of coffee had arrived. Payments would be distributed to their accounts. They made close to 200,000 kina.
In 2016, or pesman blor Neknasi, or toze mati mobeda mipla mas sarim coffee blor mipla yet igolo narpla country. So mipla bianis na mipla sarim sira coffee igolo Australia.
Since 2012, Neknasi has been at the forefront of Morobe's cooperative movement. They were eventually recognized for their work and given an export license handed to them by the Prime Minister himself. Since then, they've moved from strength to strength. This is their second export so far, and the process has eliminated all the middlemen. Scott Waide, National MTV News, Ley.
The Hello community in Port Moresby will present a petition to Police Commissioner Gary Bucky over the killing of 2 Hello policemen late last month. In the petition's planned action, they have demanded compensation from the Southern Highlands Provincial Government, including Prime Minister Peter O'Neill. The committee announced this yesterday after receiving the casket of the 2 slain police officers.
At Jackson's airport yesterday, families and friends gathered to welcome the caskets of the late constables Andy Kotange and David Kundu. They were then brought to the respective house cry. On the 30th of September, Constables Kotange, Kundu and survivors Constable Thomas Haguai, Robert Tagima and Thomas Bando were returning to Hela from Mount Hagen. They were gunned down at the Angule River near Mendi. Kotange and Kundu died instantly from bullet wounds.
We must arrest those culprits, those murderers, those thugs or criminals, Gata people. They're no longer called to be human beings. The way they treated and killed our brothers, the wounded our brother here is beyond description.
The petition, once presented to the police commissioner, will have a total of 6 planned actions.
We talked to our police commissioner now that our first compensation demand will go to William Powie and the government of Southern Highlands and the provincial government and all the electorates of Southern Highlands. They take hold of this. They make it as their business to compensate my people. Number 3, compensation will go to the Prime Minister. As the Minister, as the chairman of the Electoral Commission. Electoral Commission, you ran the worst elections ever. And delaying, declaring, here and hanky-panky deal, so many things that we hold you responsible.
Meanwhile, Hela Governor Philip Undialu urged the people of Hela to remain calm and says the provincial government will assist in any ways necessary to see justice prevails.
Brothers Kisim Bakarap, you've so majority in leadership, so me commanding you na me look forward to work on me completing process law investigation. Now repatriating body go na finishing funeral program so Hela provincial government start back side law completing process of me give him assurance law or family law me plus another one time heavy.
Stanley Ove Jr., National MTV News.
Meanwhile, survivor Robert Tagima is still in shock and says the attack and killings of Constable Kotange and Kundu has left him unstable. Mr. Tagima, a teacher by profession, says after they were fired upon, he somehow managed to slip away from the attackers. However, he was shot in his left hand. Tagima and another teacher, Thomas Bando, and police constable Thomas Haguai were the only survivors of the attack.
Selling mortar, stick, stone, parem gun, other something come in Karna. Now what the glass broke. Me blow sleep yet inside the car. Me blow go out to sleep. Yet them club. One of them come. One lap. One of my rom come. Rom come now. I'm like pulling flat. Ganen what? Nala to come blow. Upset now. To plan. Walk the tight him stamp. Now nala come to number. All him slag out to. Now what the man America. What the man come jet and what the sambla club in jet. Sambla club in winter. Sambla club in jet. Front side. Walk room. Small something in jet. The car now. You don't know get yet. Now all busy lo sila something start me know how Thomas go out longer me know go all busy lo sila something start me go out. Now lo upset them also approach him or some approach him stick na stone na some like in lo here some lo plan them all no la two time not pilots baran man blumi so last weekend
The election-related deaths and unrest in Southern Highlands Province has raised concerns on the gun control exercise carried out in the Highlands region this year. While Chief Secretary to Government Isaac Lupari admits that guns are becoming a big issue in the country, what's needed to really put an end to this deadly issue is a new approach, which is more community-oriented. His call comes after Police Minister Jelta Wong imposed a gun moratorium.
The guns moratorium imposed by the national government targeted mainly the Highlands region, where the use of guns has become a norm. However, the recent unrest in Southern Highlands Province raises questions about the level of competency and urgency put into confiscating all guns. Chief Secretary to Government Isaac Lupari admits that guns are a real problem in the Highlands region.
It's becoming a big issue in this country. You know, we had the gun report, part of the declaration. The government imposed a moratorium on gun. Target has been up in the Highlands. Police are doing everything possible, but just by going out and getting the people to surrender the gun is not giving us the results we want.
A new approach, which is more community related, is needed for the gun control in the Highlands region, says Mr. Lupari, because this will involve the wider community.
Approach. By trying out and trying to confiscate the gun, it's not giving the results we want. I think there may be a better way to do it, and it's to making sure that we look at community approach, community policing, empowering the local communities, and let them take ownership of where they live and the activities that have been conducted, and the government stands there to support and deliver. It's a big issue in this country now.
However, former PNG Defence Force Commander Jerry Singrok, who was on the Guns Control Committee in 2005, has reaffirmed that the national government must take ownership of the Guns Control Committee report and approve it for implementation. In an early interview with EMTV, Singrok said the report addressed full range of gun-related issues in the country and should not be collecting dust in Waigani to save the nation.
Where we go as part of the election, I've seen an unbelievable level of firearms. Firearms that you only see in wars in other parts of the world. We have it in this country. So it's a massive undertaking of government. But like I always said, government is just a government. We need the support of every level of people at leadership at the different level to support the government to take ownership of the issue, because it affects all of us. It's not only government's business. I think it should be everyone's business for that matter.
Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, in the United States, new rule from the Trump administration means that many women may no longer have access to free birth control through their employer's insurance.
We're seeing the Trump administration essentially walk back this mandate. This is an Obama-era rule that required employers to provide women with birth control through their health insurance. But with this new rule, it grants these broad exemptions to companies that say they have a religious or moral objection to doing just that. So to put it plainly, nonprofits, private firms, and these publicly traded companies can now stop offering free birth control through health insurance if they have, quote, sincerely held religious beliefs. This is something the president promised to religious groups when he was a candidate on the campaign trail that he would do. And we heard Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders defend it at the briefing at the White House. Listen.
The president believes that the freedom to practice one's faith is a fundamental right in this country, and I think all of us do. And that's all that today was about. Our federal government should always protect that right, and as long as Donald Trump is president, he will.
Now, that Obama-era rule was something that religious conservative groups pushed back against ever since it was first implemented. And as you can see from Sanders' comments there, this is something the White House is framing as a big win for religious liberty. But this rule is certain to see some pushback from groups. We've already heard from the American Congress for Obstetricians and Gynecologists who had some really powerful language about this rule, saying that the Health and Human Services leaders under this current administration are, quote, focused on turning back the clock on women's health. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, we have House Speaker Paul Ryan, who said it was a landmark day for religious liberty. But what we know for certain is that this is certain to end up in the courts because several groups have already threatened to file lawsuits over it.
For Brexit, talks to calls for a change in leadership and what some see as a crisis. In confidence, it's fair to say the British Prime Minister has a lot on her plate. Just a few of the challenges she faces, and this just may be the beginning.
Our economy is back on track. While we will never... excuse me.
The spluttering performance of the British Prime Minister at the Conservative Party conference is viewed by many as a symptom of a deeper malaise, a crisis of confidence in the British government, triggered by a disastrous election which cost the Conservative Party its majority and left some to suggest Theresa May is in office but not in power. Now, word that 30 of her own MPs would back a call for her to stand down. That claim coming from the former co-chairman of the Conservative Party, Grant Shapps, the public face of this rebellion. 48 MPs are needed to trigger her removal. Today, Theresa May moved to steady the ship.
What I think is necessary for the country now, what the country needs, is calm leadership. That's exactly what I'm providing, and I'm providing that with the full support of my cabinet. Thank you.
But this call for calm, like the falling letter behind her conference backdrop as she delivered her speech, is not a good look for the Prime Minister. And the timing is terrible. With Brexit negotiations set to continue on Monday, the Prime Minister's weakness cannot have escaped the notice of EU negotiators or of the markets, with the pound having its worst week in a year. The Prime Minister had hoped that a mea culpa over her decision to call a snap election would have turned the tide on her fortunes. But to no avail.
I hold my hands up for that. I take responsibility. I led the campaign, and I am sorry.
There is one saving grace for Theresa May, and that's the fact that faced with a resurgent Labour in opposition, her party will do all it can to avoid triggering a general election. So until its members can fix on a suitable successor, it's likely that she may limp on a little while longer.
Here in National EMTV News, Chukai Sports is up next. Stay with us.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. It's day 4 of the Oil Search Trophy as it continues its tour in Central Province. Government leaders like Karukihiri MP Peter Iso Aimo were present to welcome the trophy.
After visiting villages at the Abao Rigo district, the trophy made its way to the Kairukuhiri district. Their first stop was at OS Kona in Koyari. The Koyari people own the land along the Kokoda Track in the Central Province. To celebrate the Kokoda Track's 75th anniversary, the trophy was taken to Owe's Corner. The trophy was welcomed by a Sing Sing group carried by oil search staff before being handed over to Kairukuhiri member Peter Isoaimo, who was escorted by former Komul players. Isoaimo thanked Oil Search Limited for making the trophy tour a possibility and was happy the trophy visited his electorate.
As we all heard, the cup really goes with the country that wins it, but we are very, very fortunate to have it here, seen it and touched it, so, you know, we look forward to our Kumul's doing the best, and so we can keep the cup here in Papua New Guinea.
Oil Search Communications Manager Ruth Warm thanked the people of Koyari. She added Oil Search is happy to have sponsored a tour taking the trophy around the country.
Usually you take part in the Rugby League World Cup and then you win it and you take it home. So we're very grateful, and you know, you're among a few privileged people that we have chosen for the trophy to visit. Not everyone in Papua New Guinea has seen the trophy or touched it or felt it or have their photos taken with it. So when they play the grand final in Brisbane in December, in early December, and when you see the winning team, if you have access to television, lifting up the trophy, you can say, I've seen the trophy, it came to Kokoda.
After people took a few pictures with the cup, the trophy made a brief stop at Owe's Corner Junction, where people around the area had the opportunity to have a feel of the cup.
I touched the trophy, I feel proud because I'm a Papua New Guinean.
The trophy was then taken on a roadshow up in Yarowari Secondary School. Excited students stood on the sides of the road as the trophy passed through.
3, 2, 1!
Many students had the opportunity to take pictures with the cup before it departed to its next location.
As the countdown continues, Rugby League World Cup 2017 will be issuing a daily diary obtaining media opportunity, team announcements and other events of interest. Countries that have already announced the squads are PNG, Australia, New Zealand, France, Italy, United States, Samoa and Tonga. Women's team of Australia and England and match officials will be made tomorrow. Meanwhile, PNG Kumals will have their first training session at the Oil Search National Football Stadium next Monday. NRL star Peter Wallace is out of the upcoming Rugby League World Cup due to injury. Penrith Panthers hooker or halfback appeared in the NRL playoffs with 3 broken ribs and a broken hand, injuries, and is under medical surveillance. Wallace will unfortunately miss out as time required for recovery may take a while. Scotland coach Stephen McCormack has faced difficulties in the hooker department since the end of the 2013 World Cup. As a class act, Peter's absence in the team will be a disappointment to the team, but Coach McCormack says he has some very talented hookers in mind, and when one gets injured, it's a chance provided for one to grab with both hands. Several players in the team got their first opportunity because of injury to other players. McCormack is expected to be named at least one other senior hooker with extensive Super League and international capabilities to join the hood in the number of 9 available roles. And then in Strukai Sports, where the details up next.
Strukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Now looking at the weather forecast for tonight in the southern region, Port Moresby mostly fine and partly cloudy, and Daru few showers then cloudy. Numase, lay cloudy with few rain showers, and Medang, fine partly cloudy with chance of thundery showers. Nigini Islands, longer fine partly cloudy with brief showers later, and Kavieng mostly fine and partly cloudy. And in the Highlands, all centers fine partly cloudy with few evening showers.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
That's it for Saturday, the 7th of October 2017. From the entire MTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.